It is my honor to introduce you to Mr. Muralidhar Shyam, Head Human Resources India with ATC India, a wholly owned subsidiary of American Tower Corporation USA. Sir has worked extensively in most challenging IR and core HR domain over 18 years in various telecom, media and automobile industry. An expert in people integration and change management in mergers and acquisition and rolling out startup organization, he has actively supported to Asia and USA leadership team of American Tower Corporation by anchoring HR due diligences, change management and people integration for acquired entities in India as HR leader and building and rolling out HR business plan for ATC India's integrated operation. He has been a regular visiting faculty in MDPs and regular MBA courses in IIM Lucknow and various prestigious institutes and shares his learning out of his passion. Sir has previously worked in leadership roles at Bharti Infratel Limited, Indus Stars Limited. He handled most challenging people transition and change management in joint venture formation and set up HR processes in the newly built world's largest telecom tower company. Sir has also served Bennett, Coleman and Company Limited, the Times of India Group, Bharti Airtel Limited and Escorts Limited. Sir has done BM from IIM Calcutta, LLB from Lucknow University and PG in HR and IR, Allahabad University. Sir, we are eager to hear.
And in such scenario, how do we survive? When the entire workforce, our average age group is today 32, 33 in the organization. So of course we have many people in Gen Y, where they feel that they are doing right. How to handle the ethical issues, which is very, very challenging for all of us. So well, we are just looking at a trend then, and we do a lot of focus on ethical training, the training on multiple ethics program, which Ankita is our head of training and development. She does substantial work in handling the ethics program in our country, in handling the FCPA Foreign Corrupt Practices Act training, not only with our own employee but off-role employee with the vendors. Because nothing is bigger than ethics for us in the country. For $1 billion investment in the country, I think it's too much of a risk for any US company. But what to do with this is the biggest challenge for us. Well, the answer comes in collective leadership, where we own up. We own up the challenge. We with our commitment, with our honesty, with all our sincerity and integrity, we try to deliver to the business. You would have seen the sustainability of leaders are becoming a challenge today. Why? The tenure of the CEOs are much shortened. There are challenges. The organizational layers are becoming less and less. The organization is going to be a flatter organization, very less hierarchy. The information is flowing instantly. Decisions are happening faster. And if you have to survive, we have to equip with the information, with the technology, with the knowledge, what is required for us to sustain in our own job. If we are not sensitive towards that, we'll be in trouble. You have to be highly data sensitive. You have to be highly sensitive towards environment, highly sensitive towards your requirement of your business. And if you are not, it's a challenge. So we have to be far more sensitive, far more hands-on. And our business, the biggest thing is required is a strong leadership capability with hands-on approach. If you are not hands-on, if you can't deliver, if you don't have a confidence that, well, I can deliver, there's going to be a challenge. And risk is higher. So how to do that? Well, these are the challenges where we have to survive as a leader. And do you think the leadership philosophy changed in last 100 years in the country, in the world? Do you think the power of vision got changed in last century? Do you think the power of passion got changed? The leaders who driven the world with the passion and with conviction, with vision, do you think the power of vision got changed? No. Who is surviving today and who is succeeding today? Who has long-term association with partners, vendors, team members, right? The team and the relationship who can handle complexity and opportunity, who can minimize the complexity and bring opportunity to you, are going to survive. Who can succeed in ambiguity can survive. Who can succeed in uncertainty can survive. The only, I think the topmost request and suggestion to all of you to be patient. I think the biggest thing which I'm observing in your kind of population is the lack of patience. Less efforts, lack of patience. And trust me, for all of you to survive and come in the flying colors with all skill set, you have to be a problem solver, not a problem creator. And how you can be a problem solver unless you have enough innovative thought process, unless you have enough ideas, unless you have enough bandwidth to think bigger and larger, unless you are having ability to do more research and come with multiple ideas which solves the problem rather than continue crib with the problem. So you need to be part of problem solver. You need to handle the complexity. You need to handle the complexity in ambiguity and uncertainty. And that's the biggest competence today. I was talking to a Harvard professor and he said that we have redefined the leadership competence for Asia. And I said that, well, what is the top one? He said that to survive in ambiguity and uncertainty is the top competence required for a leader who is trying to succeed in Asia. And that is true for even in US today. When the entire economy seems like a little artificially pulled up economy, still people are thinking that again there will be a double effect. And they should also more equipped with handling uncertainty in the business. And what leadership does? It plays with your discretionary zone. They have ability to pull up, or if they don't have, you can still struggle to have a minimum limit of performance. But can you do better? Who can do better? How you can do better is only with your leadership bandwidth. Only when you are contemporary to do that. And there your leadership matters. There can be multiple commercial values. It brings your higher return of capital, margins, shareholders, and brings all success. But what is the answer? That you have to not only manage, you have to lead. And there's a difference, clear difference, my dear friends, you need to understand in managing and leading. And if you are not a fine blend and a fine mix of both, is only managing, do you survive? Question mark. If you are only at a 40,000 feet flight, and if you have lost touch with the ground, are you going to survive? A big question mark. So we have to be a very fine. But growing together can only happen when we engage with each other and we support. What happens if it's not there? You can create a chaos, bankruptcy, frustration, lethargy. So the direction, competence, opportunity and motivation are very strong 4 pillars of your success, which brings far more sustainability in your career. So who is the leader today? And again I am telling you, if you look at in 1912 or 1913, you would not have thought of that Steve Jobs is going to invent iPad, right? There was no seed during those days, so we could not have predicted that iPad is going to be a way of life, that iPhone is going to be a way of life, that the touch, the feeling of touch is going to be a way of life, whether Samsung presents or anyone. So it was very difficult to present. Still it's very difficult to predict about what kind of, but yes, we can predict to a fair extent of another 3 years, 4 years, how the market is going to behave. And today everyone is looking for a direction, right? So you should be amongst the people whom people opt to follow. So whatever you do, people follow it, and that's the leader. Who is the leader? Who can create a powerful vision for the team? Right? Starting from Gandhi to Lincoln to Mandela, even I must admire your director, your owner, your founder of this institute. The person has a strong power of vision to create this kind of institution. And today the result is, I am so delighted to see this. That a person who left his career from the army and had a strong vision to build one of the largest education institutions in the country in the form of your institute today. It's credible. So it's not that power of vision is going to be changed. The same power is going to drive. The same weight is going to drive the country to the people. And you need to have global perspective. You need to act local but think global. Your thinking should be global. You should be well aware about. So you have to still act local. You have to you'll have to set the things right wherever you are standing. But don't limit your thoughts to only local level. You think global. And there is going to be a perspective coming in to grow you as a leader. And today, think about a value leadership. Was it not there always? Was that not a value crisis during the Mahabharata days? I think it was the worst and acute value crisis during those days when the dharma was lost, right? During that part of the universe and the country. And still, the shloka of yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavatu bharata, it is more of a leadership statement than a religious statement. That point of time, the leadership crisis was far bigger, far more. When they were looking for a leader who can drive them and guide them with the value. So the value crisis was not today when we are into 2G scam or a 3G scam, or our leaders are the corrupt, or our politicians are the corrupt, or the society is corrupt, or the businessmen are corrupt. The value crisis was that time also far bigger, and that time also they were looking for a strong leader with value who can drive the society, who can drive the world. And they found in the form of Krishna, right? They found in the form of Arjuna. I guess today also we are looking at, when we talk about anti-corruption association in the country, we look at a leader who is going to drive us, who is going to give us an option to this government for them in the next election. There are a few of the US folks who were traveling last evening and they were talking about, so well, if the government is going to be changed, is it going to be a great opportunity for us? So that what's the option you have? So still the value crisis is there, and I'm sure one of like you is going to emerge as a leader who is going to be a value driver, and not one. Hundreds of you are going to be a value driver in this country to drive valuable business. We have been talking about operational excellence, sort of touched upon on operational excellence, and think about it. We don't inherit with a certificate or a degree of handle complexity. You have done your engineering, you have done your masters, you are doing your masters, right? There was a guy named, so there was a mayor of New York, if you know that. And during the 9/11 event, he was not aware how to handle the crisis in New York. He was not taught in the Harvard or MIT or any of the business school how to learn that kind of crisis which was biggest in the world when New York got attacked. So you should have a capability to rise to the occasion. And that comes from within. Right? That comes from your inner strength, a strength of your values, a strength of your belief, a strength of your personality, a strength of your own value system. And when a simple mayor stand tall in the world and succeeded in handling the crisis in the New York, which was still treated as one of the worst crisis, civilian crisis in the world, why can't all of you? And he was, trust me, he was not taught in any business school how to handle such kind of crisis. But yes, as a leader, you all are expected to handle such an unanticipated crisis, which is going to give you a lot of credibility, a lot of success in your career. And organizations demands today. Think about a leader like Saurav. If he could not have handled the scenario in the slum of Bombay by his own, intellect and his own thought process, today lakhs of customers would not have been radiating in Bombay in that part. So that crisis management is not being taught anywhere. It comes out of your experience, it comes out of your own thought processes, your own inner strength and in your confidence. And best, it comes out of your knowledge. So the best is your knowledge. And that drives empowerment. Someone was talking about, what is empowerment? Someone was talking about delegation of authority. He said, oh, we don't have delegation of authority, sorry, we don't have empowerment. But is that delegation of authority or check signing authority brings empowerment to you? No. Empowerment is brought by your knowledge, your confidence, your ability to handle such challenge and such complexity which brings credibility to you. That's empowerment. So empowerment is in your own hands, right? Well, I hope I've not exceeded my time. Well, I tried to wrap in 5 minutes. The question is, so we have to make sense, and people are looking for the leaders, someone who talks sense, someone who makes sense. So somewhere we have a crisis of people, those who can make sense. Is it that? I don't know. But in leadership capability, people look at, does he talk sense? Does it mean something? Hence, you should be on those category of people who talk sense, who make sense to the business, who make sense to the society, who make sense to this institute, who make sense to your own life. Right? He talked about vendors, customers. But think, has that philosophy changed during the Gandhian days when, Gandhi said that Vaishno Janto Tene Kariye? What was that? It was a servant leadership concept. So Vaishno Jan वो होता है जो लोगों के दर्द को जानता है, right? पीर पढ़ाई जाने से दूसरों के दर्द को जब आप नहीं समझोगे, आप कस्टमर लीडरशिप की बात क्या कर रहे हो यार? What you are talking about a customer leadership? What you are talking about customerism when you don't appreciate the pain and the feeling of your customers? So it's not something new. The Gandhian philosophy taught us about the customerism. We can say that, well, Mercer or A.T. Kearney, world's largest consulting organization, come and teach us the customerism or the customer service in the country. But think about a man who taught us 60 years, 70 years before, a strongest philosophy of being hands-on and with high customer values. Right? So finally, so leadership is what? Arts, right? But it is fine arts to be managed in a scientific way. And from where this comes? In our minds, innovation, thinking, feeling, emotions. From where it comes? It comes from the core of our mind, right? So it reflects. So unless you understand the biology well, unless you understand the science well, can you manage this fine arts well? So people leadership is a fine arts to be managed with extremely well knowledge of science. Right. So it's a golden circle. The inner circle is your thought process, which provokes your thoughts, innovation. And unless you nurture that, the leadership is going to be challenged. I'll tell you a very short story in 2 minutes, but which reminds me always. When Picasso was just roaming in the street in Paris, a lady saw him and she recognized him that she is world's biggest painter. She came and saw, hey Picasso, wow, great to meet you. He said, fine, thank you. Beautiful lady, what I can do for you? He said, oh, can you make my portrait? Well, yes, why not? So the lady, a beautiful lady, sat on a piece of marble. And in 5-6 seconds, he made a sketch of that lady, beautiful lady, probably much beautiful than the lady was. The sketch was far beautiful. And the lady hugged the Picasso, he kissed the Picasso, said, wow, I could never imagine you can do this. Well, so she took the photograph and she was going away. So Picasso said, hey, stop. He said, what happened? He said, $100. He said, well, you just worked for a few seconds, $500. He said that, lady, that's my practice and my hard work of last 30 years, which gives that result in 3 seconds to you. And there's a cost of that. So you need to build your own talent. That comes out of your practice, that comes out of your passion to deliver, that comes out of you being contemporary and you being innovative, you being skilled enough to deliver that fine piece of work to this country, to your organization, to your family, to this institute. So that's the requirement from a leader. You have to manage the aspiration, perception, and you have to be a visionary person. You need to be a best salesperson and think, if all of us are not the best salesperson, it's very difficult to survive. So each one of us have to be best salesperson, starting from selling our vision, selling our thought process, to selling our product, to selling our talent, to selling our personality, to selling our skill set. So you have to be a best salesperson, trust me. If you are not the best salesperson on this earth, very difficult to survive. So not that you are a techie guy, you can't be you have to sell yourself, sell your own competence and capability to excel in your own career. Unless you're not able to sell it, a lot of people have said, the fantastic guy, a great talent, nobody knows him, people underestimate him, underestimate her. Why? Because he or she is not able to sell her own competence to the organization where she works. She is not able to project her own or his own work to the company. So you have to be a strong seller with ethics. Don't tell lies, right? It's very short term, momentary. So finally, so our leadership, our leaders, all of you have to steer your organization away from the complexity and steer them towards opportunities that will ensure the continuous sustainable enterprise. That gives you far more sustainability to the organization you work, that gives far more sustainability to your own self in the career. All right. So, most successful leaders are made, not born. So are you making leaders for tomorrow? That's a question. That's my question to your all faculty members, to your all teachers, to your all mentors. Make yourself a successful leader. Last, I was thinking to share with you. Yep. So, a brief video which shows our passion, which shows our belief. Just run for me.